And it hit me to the core, because I know each and every one of these men have done the work, have gone to levels of pain and darkness, have brought to the surface the things we were ignoring, and battled them. Welcome to another episode of Mindset Mastery. I am your host, AZ Araujo, and thank you for joining me for this episode. And today's topic is, have you forgotten? What an incredible week last week. What an incredible day this morning. And I want to say good morning to all of you that are joining. Go ahead and check in with me, and I'll make sure to greet you before we end this podcast. And I want to remind you, if you don't catch this live, you're always welcome to listen to it on badassagents.com as you're working out, going for a walk, and doing the things that get you into power. I highly encourage you to download this podcast. And just so much gratitude. I'm feeling so much gratitude today. And although I am facing my share of challenges, and I'll tell you that in just a second, it's got me thinking about how life is good, right? Life can be so good, and how trusting the process can change your entire dynamic of how you operate. It can change every aspect of your life, from your health to your marriage to the overall sense of purpose and your finances. Like, it is amazing. And I get these reminders on a consistent basis. But last Friday, I put out a couple pictures on social media. And, we were out with our architect. There's a big announcement coming up soon. And, we were taking pictures with our architect. And Carla and I are just like looking at each other like, this is really happening. The next step, the next phase of AZ Associates and our Do the Work coaching and consulting company, we're moving on to the next phase, and we're just like baffled by it, right? It's a reality. Everything that we thought about in the past, it's here. It's our reality, and we're living it. And right before we went there, and it's amazing how life just kind of just puts these things in front of you, like these challenges, these puts you in the right place when people need you. On our way to the architect, which was in Tempe, there was an accident. There was a motorcyclist, and he was following a couple cars, right? He was doing everything right, and I noticed him about 2 miles before he actually got into an accident. He was putting up his hands, signifying that he was going to make a turn, and he had the right amount of space between him and the car in front of him. Well, there was this one vehicle that wanted to take a left-hand turn into the 51. And if you live in Arizona, you know that if you're going east and you want to go on the 51, it's either the 202 or the 51. And he gets from the lane on the 202 and cuts a few people off to try to make that 51 loop. And with doing that, he caused a lot of turmoil behind him. The cars behind him had to brake all of a sudden. And this motorcycle is literally 20 feet away from me. And I'm watching this in front of me, right? I'm watching this car veer over to the left, causing this chain reaction. And I'm like, oh no, look, what's gonna happen? I saw this whole thing happen. And of course, what I thought was gonna happen happened. This motorcyclist couldn't control his bike. He had to brake too quickly. And next thing you know, he flips over on his motorcycle. He skids about 15 feet. And I immediately pull over, and I'm the first one to approach this guy. And he's a young kid. And I look at him, and I said, hey. I look at him because he was in shock. And I looked straight into his eye. I said, you're alive. You're alive. I said, good job maneuvering your motorcycle. You're alive. And he kind of like snapped out of it. He's like, oh man. And what we did afterwards is I just kept talking to him. And one of the first things he said is like, I'm so happy I wore my helmet. And I got to tell you, he is scratched up. His clothes are torn from head to toe. His clothes are completely torn in different spots. I could see the road rash. I could see his raw skin, right? The raw flesh. I could see all of that. And he's controlled. He's controlled there. And we ended up pulling the motorcycle out of the street. Out of all these cars, it was just me and this other gentleman that got out to help this gentleman. And one of the things that I started thinking about is like, he mentions, I'm glad I wore my helmet today. Kind of like he was used to not wearing it. And sometimes where we do things, right, that end up helping us in the future, end up helping us in the inconvenience factor of wearing a helmet versus not, right? Wearing a seatbelt versus not. And he was able to survive that. He's bruised and scratched and probably is going to take some time to heal. His bike was wrecked. But I was so happy to be there. It grounded me, right? And it gave me this fire within me to be able to bring like this sense of like, this is nothing. You're alive. The motorcycle doesn't mean anything, right? You're able to walk away from this thing instead of freaking out, saying, what am I going to do? It may be his only source of transportation. I don't know. So we go to the architect, and Carla and I are still like in this high emotion, right? Just being able to be there for that guy and clearing up the street and having the traffic flow again. We're at the architect, and again, we're looking at each other like, is this really happening? Is this like coming into fruition? And I get home after all that, and I end up going to pick up my bicycle. I purchased a new bike about two months ago, and it finally came in. And when I went there, and I went to this company called CycloLogic, and they're world renowned. He has people flying not only from different states in the country, but from different parts of the world. This guy is like, he's well known. And I spent a lot of time with him, and he's an owner, and we were just talking back and forth. And what I'm about to say next just like really resonated with my soul. It hit me so deep. Because when I went there, also the guys that I'm training with, right, the different agents of A's Associates also have visited that place. And again, this guy has seen thousands of individuals, many athletes, many professions, a lot of money, right? People with a lot of money going through his shop. And he, as he's measuring me, he stops out of nowhere and he says, I've never met such a good group of individuals like the people that have come here from your company. He couldn't believe that we were salesmen. He couldn't believe the humbleness, the drive that we have, and our sincerity, right? Our sincerity. He was just in awe of the qualities and the character of each and every one of these men. He was surprised. He was like, every one of you, every person that walked through had a certain energy. And it felt good to hear. It felt good to hear because I know these men. And he described them to a T. Individuals that are focused on just being better every single day in every aspect of their lives. They're making an impact. Their ability to rise up is influencing those around them so they can make better changes. Their actions are making better husbands and better fathers every time they rise up and speak because people are watching them. It made me feel so good that we're leading the charge. That it's not just about, oh, look at the money I'm making. Look at the house I live in. Look at the cars I'm driving. But many levels deeper. A purpose. A drive. That people around them are watching and saying, if he can do that, maybe I can too. And that's what it took for me to change my life. I saw someone doing it at a high level, and I just imagined myself being there, happy in my marriage, purpose-driven, loving my wife, being that dad, that great father, not just a person that paid the bills. And it hit me to the core. Because I know each and every one of these men have done the work, have gone to levels of pain and darkness, have brought to the surface the things we were ignoring and battled them and decided that things were going to change moving forward. They made promises and delivered. They went in and day out not knowing if things were going to change right away. And for many situations, they didn't. And in many instances, they're still battling to this day. But they're not walking around or navigating blindly anymore. They have a game plan. They know what they want. They understand that it's only a matter of time. If you do the right things, the right results will appear. And I'll tell you what, it's a conditioning process, and it doesn't bring immediate results. Each one of these men, each one of you have questioned yourself along the way. In fact, many people have questioned you. You're different. You're not the same person. And some of you may be in a situation where you're facing greater challenges. But this is all part of the process. Because what's happening? When you decide to go all in on yourself, when you decide to live an intentional life, the burdens of your inactions from the past rear their ugly faces, rear their ugly heads. All the things that we ignored, all the things that we disregarded, of course, it's going to feel like it's more difficult now than it ever was before. Of course, it's going to feel like your marriage just got worse before it got better, but yet you're doing the right things. Well, you forgot to consider that all the stuff you ignored and disregarded for all those years, they just don't go away. You're going to have to face it. And not pretend it's not there. Like I did for many years, like Carla and I did for many years. We just pretended our issues weren't there, hoping things would get better, but yet found ourselves in a miserable spot. You could pretend all day long you don't have issues with your business, that you're doing all the right things, when you know you haven't done enough. And this game of trying to put deposits in all aspects of our life, I'm going to tell you this, it's a hard process. Oh my God, there's so many times in my life during the past 7 years that I just wanted to give up. I didn't see the results. Things were getting harder. I was making less money. How can this be the right way? But I wasn't sitting back and appreciating all the things that were turning. The trust I was building. The confidence that came along with it. This game in real estate, it's not hard at all. It's about your willingness to make the deposits in all areas of your life that makes it manageable and lucrative. But if you're only focusing on one or two things in your life, it's only a matter of time before it starts crumbling down. And I've seen it firsthand. If you're all in with your business but are not making deposits into yourself, making sure you create space for yourself, making sure you're intentional about your parenting, and putting that same focus in your marriage, it's only a matter of time before it all folds like a house of cards. I did that many times, and I witnessed it many times. This game is a slow-moving process, but you'll sit back one day at the architect table and just be in shock. And then it's reinforced later on by a person that didn't have to tell me anything. All he had to do was sell me my bike. All of a sudden, you're like, shit. I'm living a life on fire. And it feels good to feel so good. But it doesn't happen overnight. So I leave this bike shop knowing that, this is something that works, that people take notice. This is where impact derives from. I get in my car and I'm loading my brand new bicycle into the back of my car. Load it in, and I'm driving. And I'm just overwhelmed by all this emotion. Overwhelmed by the people in my life and the life I'm living. I look to the sky and it's one of those perfect sunsets. Clouds. You remember Friday. If you look to the sky, you remember how beautiful it was. The colors, the clouds, the combination of both. And the sun just piercing through those clouds. Overwhelmed. I couldn't hold back. And it reinvigorated me. It continues to invigorate me. Because I know there's a functional way to live. But it's a hard process. This level of fulfillment doesn't come overnight. And I'm here to tell you to keep going. I'm here to tell you it's on your path. It's part of your story as well. And some of you are living it. And some of you are not just yet. And just because things are not where you think they should be doesn't mean it's not going to turn for you. But you have to be intentional about the process. You have to be very focused on what you want. We talked last week about comparison. None of that matters if you don't feel good inside. For those of you that are going to be joining me on Wednesday, I'm going to go into this process again with you. And I hope that this time it resonates with you. I hope that this time you follow it through to see the significant impact it will have in your life. The 12-week target book. And it's a simple, slow, methodical process. I'm going to tell you, it's not exciting. I wish I could add some excitement to it, but I can't. The excitement comes in the results. The excitement comes from the reflection. The excitement comes when you wake up on fire as opposed to depressed and full of anxiety. When you trust yourself, knowing that whatever comes your way, you will overcome. That's where it stems from. Because I'll be honest with you, the process sucks. It's a hard life. And you're going to feel like you're missing out. Only to realize what you thought was fun bears no comparison to what you created. And this is the life that I think we all need to consider for ourselves. That we have to face the hard things, the tough things, in order to appreciate what life is all about. And I want to read this part here about what are you grateful for today. Because I need you. I need you to take this time as opposed to being worried about the deal not getting accepted, about where your next deal's coming from, about the issues on the Binzer report, on the appraisal report, on the problems with your finances. I need you to take a step back right now and realize that you are on the right path. And maybe right now you're only halfway in with this process. Maybe you're just doing a fraction of it. Maybe you just started working out. Maybe you just started paying more attention at home. Maybe you just barely started marketing. You're on the right path. And you got to give it some time to have those deposits buy you the life you've always wanted. Because you don't just stumble into the good life. You have to buy it through the deposits you put in on a daily basis. So I want you to take a moment, because on one section of the 12-week targets book, it's something that you have to do every day. And the question is very simple. What are you grateful for? And I'll read the instructions I put in here. As you deal with the pressures and the stresses of building a business, it is necessary to remind yourself what you are grateful for. The fruits of your labors are all around you, but at times you may be too focused on what you don't have. You can't let the burdens and pressures of your everyday dictate what your tomorrow will bring. Your journey has been long, but your future is on track to bring you what you want from it. You need to stay the course for it to happen. When you are grateful for the journey that you have been through, the financial hardships, the pressures you face in business, you'll realize how far you've come. You need not to forget the goals and ambitions, not to forget the power and not forget the power you possess, and not forget the journey you have taken. Be grateful for who you are, the people in your life, and the experience you have been through. Look around. It's an epic tale. Look around. It's an epic tale. Look around. Your life. It's an epic tale. And that reminder has to come from you, because no one outside of you is going to tell you those things. You have to appreciate the journey you've been on. Because as I was sitting there and I was staring at Carla as we're making decisions with the architect, I remember the 900 square foot office and how big of a burden that was when we opened up AZ & Associates back in 2011. We had to buy our front desk from a Craigslist because that's all we could afford. Trying to make moves that we're trying to navigate through our financial messes we created for ourselves. Of course I'm going to appreciate what I've done. Of course I'm going to live my life on fire. So whatever mindset you're in, think back. Look back. It's an epic tale. And these are reminders we have to give ourselves on a daily. Because one day, it won't be there to appreciate. It'll be long gone. Hoping and wishing, sitting in regret of how we should have done something different. There's many things I regret, but moving forward, that script has changed. Some of you are facing health issues. And for those of you that have been dealing with COVID, those of you that have isolated yourselves, we're thinking about you. I talked to my mom this morning and she was very emotional. She's been sick here for the last 3 days. She's 62 years old. She has pre-existing conditions, right? It's going to be a tough road for her. But our conversation was very much the same conversation I have when I have to face any big challenges. You've been here before, and you've won. You're batting 1,000, Mom. I'm here for you. You're strong. David, talking to you as well, brother. You're batting 1,000. Remind yourself of that. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. If you have any comments, if this is resonating with you, if this just simply put a pause in your day of your thoughts just going wild, then I did my job, because I just need you to take a step back, a moment in time to appreciate this great life, regardless of whatever challenges you're facing right now. It's the good life. It's the good life. And people are noticing the work that you're putting in. I want to say good morning to everyone here. Good morning, Claudia, Dominique, Raquel, Amir. Thank you for joining me. Celia, Sergio, Miguel, Kim, Bobby. Good morning to you. Edgar, Gabe, Teresa, Madeline, Jessica, Claudia, Caroline, Lorinda, Ruby, Vanessa, Carmela, Lily. Good morning to you. Jasenia, good morning. Thank you for joining us. JJ, Isela, good morning. Kaylin, Edgar, already said, I'm glad you got the goosebumps, man. I felt so good. It's like my whole skin crawled with goosebumps just hearing that and the impact that we're all making. And it's an amazing life. Feels so good. Gabe, good morning. That is an amazing compliment, man. That's the way I took it. Liz, good morning. Sergio, the night is darkest right before the dawn. And I can't tell you how many moments of those darkness where I felt like it was going to be dark for the rest, for the rest of my life. I mean, we get into these mindsets sometimes that this is all we're going to be able to create. This is all life has come to. But being able to just continue to push through and realize that this is just a simple process. That's all it ever was. That's all it was intended to be. The hard part comes on doing it every single day. But I've seen people's lives transform right before my eyes, including myself, including Carla's, including our top producers and the people I associate with. And I'm asking you, if you can't find the motivation to do it for yourself, do it for your family. Do it for those around you, because it is not just something that impacts you directly. It impacts everyone. Teresa, can't wait. Design is so fun. I bet it was amazing, Teresa. It was amazing. Like just having the right people, right? Jermaine, good morning to you. Miguel, small wins. But having the right people, being able to visualize or to put into paper what we visualized up here. Amazing group of architects. I just finished book 2 of 12 Target. It works. Teresa, you've seen the significant difference. I mean, the confidence, your marketing ability, your energy. It's just amazing. And I'm glad you're sticking to the game plan. Raquel, amen. Thank you for joining us. Eric, if you're constantly looking at next year and not today, next year will look like today. Gratitude does something for your spirit. Yes, it does. And that's a good point. Someday has to start somewhere. Someday has to start somewhere. And if someday you want this type of business, someday you want that type of marriage, someday you want that sense of purpose, it starts with doing the grunt work right now, right? The grunt work, because that's exactly what it is. But it's fulfilling. And every day you're going to wake up like, do I really need to do this? Every morning I wake up, this morning included, my alarm goes up at 4:30. I'm not excited about it. I question it. I struggle with it. But I get up and I do it. And now I'm able to give you the best of me because I went out and challenged myself. Sergio, about to get my 3rd book, fresh book, just in time for the meeting. It is insane how amazing life becomes when you lead with a plan, especially in our business. It has hurt. It has been boring. It has been mundane. Yes, perfect word. It is a mundane process, but being able to see the projection of your life, family, and business is effing priceless. Thank you for that. That's exactly how I feel, right? It makes you have this sense of purpose and drive. This mundane process, the stuff that sucks, but when you see the results, it's like people around you realize you're something different about you, Sergio. Like showing up different. You're rising up. You're doing and operating ways that you never did before. You're becoming more vocal. You're leading. That's an amazing place to be. There's no reward without risk and sacrifice. Right now, the wins are there. Just taking more work and dialing in even more to be effective. And this process is not just to be good, because life is going to get good. It's about the levels of greatness that you can actually create, which is amazing. Like, if you would have told me when I started this process back in 2014 is when I started doing something similar to this that was taught to me by my coach, Garrett White. It was a trusting the process, because there was no real results. He was going through it as much as I was. We didn't know if it was going to work. We didn't know if doing these things, making these different deposits, was going to create something great. And we just had to trust the process. Now I know it works. It is fact. It's no longer a methodology. It is fact. Follow the facts. Follow the facts. Thanks for a great message today. You're welcome, Ardra. Jasenia, the prayers are with your mom. This too shall pass. She is stronger than she thinks, and she has an amazing support system. She is. And, I can only imagine. She is 62, and she's a strong woman. But I sense fear. And again, all that we can do is remind her of the journey she's taken on, right? And she's suffered from many things along the way, and she's come out strong. So she's going in today, and I'm hoping that, whether she has it or not, and odds are she might, she'll be just fine. Gabe, damn, brother, you fought the fire today. You brought the fire today. Thank you for the raw emotion. Chris, good morning. Hope is not a business plan. Yes, intention. Great one, AZ. Thank you for the continued dedication for Mindset Monday. I look forward to every Monday. You're welcome. Sorry, brother, to hear a great message. Your transparency and testimony is real, AZ. Appreciate you and the group. Well, I appreciate you all. And I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Mindset Mastery. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.